What is up, everybody? We're back out here in the shop today. I'm going to start making a swing away tire carrier for this Zook. Had to get that big tire off the tailgate and out of the way of that hardtop we put on. Plus, I just don't like having that big heavy tire on that factory tailgate. It wasn't meant for that. So, going to jump in and do a little cardboard mock-up. Probably just throw a time lapse of that together. Then I'll show you what we got and we'll start getting this thing welded up.
Okay, sit still, everybody. Don't go away.
Alright guys, here's what I've come up with. Looks a little goofy, but most people have their swing to the right. You can't see my hand. Most people have them swing this way. I'm going to swing the opposite way because this part here, if you can see it, this part here is going to be a table. So it's going to have the table that folds up. So if I have it swing this way and the tailgate swing out to the other side, then I can have a little area to work. I'll have a little table I can put a cook stove on or whatever, and my tailgate has all these pouches on it. I usually store recovery gear in there, but I've got an extra pouch I can store some cooking stuff in, you know, just be a little more usable. So if you wonder why I've got it swinging the other way, that's why. Got the cardboard laid out. I actually went down to my dad's and cut out all the pieces because he's got a bandsaw down there and a chop saw, and I don't have much as far as other than a cutoff wheel on my grinder. So it was just a lot more efficient to run down there and do that. So I'm gonna take the pieces, we'll lay them on the welding table and get the frame of it built up before we start welding it on the bumper here. Disclaimer, whatever, I am not a welder. I have very little welding experience. I've welded together a kayak trailer we had and a few other pieces. They weren't pretty, but they held. And that's, you know, I've got a grinder. I can pretty it up later. I've just got a little Forney flux core welder. For if I get in anything real thick, I go down to Dad's. He's got the big, you know, Lincoln welder, the gas and all that. And eventually, you know, I want to get into some TIG welding because my next build, I'm planning on doing an aluminum canopy in the back. So, but this welder will be fine for this project. You know, my little lovely cardboard design there to give everybody an idea. I'm a visual person, so I needed that. Anyway, we'll get set up over there at the welding table. You guys can watch me lay down some really crappy welds, and we'll see if we can get this thing put together. I'm hoping to get it done this week, but they are calling for a bunch of rain later in the week, so I don't know if I'll be able to get it painted or not, but we'll get it figured out. Stay tuned. All right, you can see we got an assortment of pieces cut up and ready to go. This is going to be our bottom support. We've got it notched out. And yes, it's all old scrap metal because, hey, I'm poor and cheap and there ain't nothing wrong with it, so use it. But got that notched out to fit the hinge. Well, I'm gonna wait and weld that on when it's on the car. But anyway, that'll sit like that. You'll have the upright, couple cross or support braces. Then I'm just gonna, I cut the old samurai tire mount. I'm just gonna weld that on there. And then these will be for the little folding table. I'm gonna weld those up first just to get a little practice in because I ain't welded in a while. And then we'll start on this one. So let me get everything situated and we'll get started. This will actually be my first use of this Harbor Freight welding table other than laying a piece of sheet metal on there to cut it down to size to fit the tray on the bottom so I could set my welder in there. But this will be the first use. I knew it was the perfect size for what little workspace I had. And eventually I hope to add more to it. But for now, about all I got room for. We'll get those out of the way for now. Try and get this laid out. Alright guys, there you can see is the frame for that tabletop that's going to mount on the back side of that tire carrier. It'll lift up so give you a nice table height. Anyway, we're going to set that to the side and we will get started on the next part. Alright, you can see we've got the end of our piece notched out here so that'll be a nice fit to weld to. So we just gotta make sure we get all that turned the right way. We'll weld on our tire carrier on the other end. I'm not gonna weld this piece on until we get it on this will be mounted on the bumper and we'll get that on there and spaced parallel with the bar. Then we'll weld it, tack it in place. Alright guys, my apologies. I tacked that one side together and welded it up and looked up and realized that camera was off and I'd been talking away to you. So I'll still have time-lapse footage of that from the other camera, but you missed all my witty conversation. Hold on. I gotta come up with a better plug for this welder. Anyway, what I was saying when I wasn't recording is Dad has always brought my ideas to life. He's the best fabricator I know. He owned his own tractor dealership for years. Just always been able to fix whatever. So he's always been willing to jump in and help me make the ideas. He always said I was way more artistic than him and came up with ideas. But he's 76 and he's getting tired, and you know, it's about time I learned to do this all on my own. So you guys get to watch the learning process because it's almost therapeutic filming this for you guys, and stressful at the same time. I'm weird. Anyway, I'm gonna shut up for a minute and weld a little bit. Here we go. No, I'm not. I'm not gonna weld a little bit. Not yet. Yeah, I am. I don't know what I'm doing. good weld, actually. At least I think so. Alright guys, this is going to get welded on the front here. But as you can see, I cut it. This is one of the factory spare tire carriers from the Samurai I meant to mount on the tailgate. Well, I just cut the back part of it off, but I need to clean up this edge a little bit so it'll sit on there good. And then we'll weld her up. So, lay this down. Grab this. A little test fit here. I don't like the way it sits, so we're going to keep going. Alright guys, got that ground down a little bit to fit on there better. I actually ran up to Dad's and just used his bench grinder. I've got one here, but I haven't fastened it down to the bench yet, and I got tired of chasing it around. Need to do that soon. Anyway, got this position on here about where I want it. Gonna slap some paint on it. Just slap some paint on it. I'm not painting yet. I'm gonna tack it down. We'll see about getting it welded up. I might not weld it all the way through right now. Getting kind of dark out here. Real cloudy today, getting late in the day. But I at least want to get it tacked on so I can hold it up on the Samurai and see how it looks. So let's do that. Probably should put this on. Alright guys, I just got it propped up there now. I got a tie down holding it up. And you can see it's going to sit kind of like that. But then my idea, let me try and do this with one hand, is I want to take this, pardon me, alright. So you can see I got that tabletop frame in there. I got to still make an upright to go at this end and a hinge, and I'll put one over here and a hinge. Sorry, neighbor driving past. Anyway, get that on there and make some hinges for it. Let me get this. Get on that on there, make some hinges for it, or when I swing it out, I can fold it out flat and have a nice tabletop to cook on and everything. I want it to fold up, because if it folds down, it's going to be way too low. But that should put it at a fairly decent height. That'll be, you know, almost waist height. Anyway, that's going to wrap it up for today. I'll try and get some more done tomorrow. I got a neighbor pulling in, so see ya. Okay, we got the hole drilled in here. Sorry if there's some noise in the background. My son's cleaning out his Jeep. Long overdue, so I don't want to tell him to stop. Anyway, I'm gonna get the Raptor liner cleaned off this bumper, top and bottom, so I have a clean surface to weld to. Then we'll see about getting this spindle welded in. All right. So now we should be able to set the spindle in there. I'm gonna tack it from the bottom, or actually go ahead and weld it up from the bottom with that spacer in, holding everything nice and square. And then we can weld the top. And then we'll worry about getting the tire carrier welded onto that. So let me get that set back in there and we'll get started again. You'll notice I've got a big piece welded on the side here. I screwed up when I welded my holes and they weren't in line, so I had to waller the other hole out a bit. So this is just to keep it nice and square in there. Alright, I laid some weld on the bottom side. I couldn't get a good camera angle. Plus, nobody wants to see what my welds look like upside down. They look bad enough right side up. Oh, yeah, that's pretty good. Okay, I've got the spindle all welded in. It's cooled off a little bit, so we can get back to work on that. I've got the tire carrier on the sitting on the bumper, with just some scrap metal stacked up to give it the proper spacing. I don't have my brace on the bumper that it'll rest on when it's closed. Just got it sitting like this so I can get it tacked together, and then I'll take it apart and put it on the bench and finish welding it. I'm gonna spin around here and show you what I got, and then we'll just set you up to watch me do this shit. Hang on. Alright, so we can see we've got it on there. You might be able to see my welds. They're not the best, but we're getting better. Anyway, got it sitting on there. Looks pretty good. Let's get it welded on and see if we can't finish this project up. Just gonna do a quick tack. I don't want to do a lot of welding with those bearings in there and get those hot. They're not greased or anything yet, but still don't want to get them hot. Just get this tacked together and carry it over there and finish welding it. Ow. I think that'll hold for now. Alright, so what I want to do now, I got a little tack on that should hold. We're going to take this apart, take the bearings out, take the bearing races out, finish welding it. And then we'll have to get our spacer in there, get our latch welded on. Then we can worry about the tabletop. We've got to get these bearing races knocked out of here before we finish welding this, and then we'll put them back in. I think it's awkward now. Okay. Oh, my back hurts. Well, we got those out of the way. We can weld this up proper. So this is how my life works. Look at that nice, pretty weld along the backside. Probably one of the best welds I've done. Not so bad even along the top. Flip it over to the front. You flip it to the front, and we got this horrible gob. Well, I'm gonna clean that up a little bit and lay another bead down. Alright guys, quick change of venue. I'm going to run down to Dad's because I'm at that stage where it's cut and weld a few pieces to get measurements to cut the next pieces and save running back and forth. So I'm going to drag y'all down there with me. I try not to film down there much and bother Dad, but he gave me the go ahead. So we'll get moved down there and see if we can finish this thing up. Alright, we're down here at Dad's shop. Got a couple pieces cut up. I'll just spin it around, show them to you. We're gonna get those welded in. They're the framework that's gonna hold the flip-up table, and also will be a place to mount my license plate since it'll be covered up. You can see I got this held in place there with a couple magnets. Well, that'll be welded on there, and then my license plate will mount right here. I'll have to relocate my tag light, of course. Alright, we got the base plate welded on here. so it gives a little, it's got a little slope to it so it can ramp up on there. We got our latch welded on. Well, you know, it's not tight yet. I'll need to adjust it. So now it's time to put the tabletop on and get all that figured out. So hopefully we can knock that out pretty quick. It's getting late in the day. But I'd like to get this part of it done to where all that's left is clean up and paint. So let's see what we can do.
Don't claim this real thing.
It's not. Oh, this is gonna mess things up. We're not gonna be able to swing it back into the thing. I'll have to cut that back part of that angle off that I welded on the bumper.
Yeah, there's nothing to change here. That's changing. I was kind of hoping to not put a spot weld on here, but guess I'll have to put a little spot on there.
On the engine.
Yeah, I really just didn't want to put the weld.
I mean, you could go on there, there.
Yeah,
Or
they look good. They look ugly. I just put them up.
there's a lot of ugly welds on here. I don't think yours will get singled out. Pliers over there. That has to be unfair pliers. That works. Alright guys, this is going to be continued tomorrow. We've run out of daylight. We're tired. We're hungry. But we're getting real close. We've got... Let me get you spun around here. I'll show you what we're working with. We had to shorten up the tabletop a little bit to clear our latch over there. And I've still got to make the supports to hold the table up when we're folded out. So we'll do that tomorrow. Alright guys, it's a new day back out here at Dad's shop trying to finish up this tire carrier. We left off yesterday, had the tabletop mounted, had the latch on. Pretty much the only thing we had left to do before paint was make the supports for when you fold the table up. And then of course a tabletop, which I'm not sure I have any sheet metal here to put on the frame of that tabletop, so that might not get done this video. But I'll get the camera, get things set up, get the camera turned around, show you what I have in mind for supports, and we'll go from there. Alright, before we do supports, I want to get a lock in this thing so when it's swung open, I can lock it into place. That'll make it easier working on these supports too if this thing isn't trying to swing all over the place. So what I've got in mind is I've got this spring-loaded latch here. So I want to get this in position and we're going to mount it. You know, we'll drill a hole in the bumper there. We're going to mount it right about there. And it should clear when it swings close and give us a nice, keep it from swinging open too far or any of that good stuff. So we'll work on that. I'll show you all a little progress as we go. Alright guys, so it turns out I'm dumb. You can see I initially welded our latch over here, only to realize that my tailgate wouldn't clear it unless I swung it way open. And I don't want to have to do that every time. Like, I want it to open, fall into its notch, and that be it. So cut it back off, moved it over here, and then we just welded a stop here so it can't come back this way and it can't go back that way, and our tailgate clears. I also went ahead and took these hinges off where I had it folding flat like a regular tailgate and just put it back to normal. Also these turn signals, they're just clearance lights off a trailer and they suck. You can't see them. So I'm going to plug that hole and just put these in because they are super bright. So we'll fill that big hole and just have a little one. So adding more work to the project, but next step for me is, bear with me. Actually, let me get the camera set up and I'll be back. Okay, we'll try to do this. Well, my plan is I've got some small hinges like that. I'm going to put those on here and just make a little bracket like this so that it'll fold up flat like that, and when I lift this up it'll drop down and rest right there, and that'll give us support for our table. Problem with that is now I'm gonna have to come up with a riser over here so I can do the same at this end, so it's supported at both ends. So, but we do that and we should be good to go, hopefully. And then the weather's decent, I can paint tomorrow, but we probably won't do that for this video. I want to get this video out to you guys, but if I can get the fab work done and show it functional just without paint, hopefully that'll be good enough for you guys. Anyway, we'll be back. Alright, we've got our inserts here ready. I popped out the taillight so that I can put the magnet. Hopefully this works. This one. Oh yeah. And then we can just weld that up. I like it. I took a break from the tabletop on this tire carrier because we lost a hinge somewhere along the line. And Dad was going to the hardware store anyway, so he's picking one up. I figure we'll knock this out while he's gone. So, let's see what we can do. There's something wrong with my helmet. Found my lens wasn't seated all the way in my helmet, so I was getting light in and around. That's probably why my eyes have been hurting for a couple days. Don't know why I didn't notice. Anyway, let me grab the grinder. We'll see if we can clean that up. Oh yeah, you can definitely see the difference in brightness. That's the marker light I had, or clearance light, just in the sunlight. You could not see that versus that nice and bright, pretty sleek looking too. So yeah, we'll go with that. All right, I'm gonna knock out the other one. You've seen me do one, you don't need to see me do another. I'll flip the camera back on when I start welding those supports up for the table. Getting real close, guys, real close. I'm tired. Alright guys, Dad's back from the hardware store with some hinges. We've got the tire carrier off and on the welding table over here. I think I'm gonna play cameraman for a minute and let Dad tack these on, and then I can get out of his hair and go home. So let me spin you around and we'll see what's going on. What was that you were saying?
Handling this thing is like trying to wrestle a burlap bag full of bobcats. Not that I do that very often.
Yeah, I was gonna say, is that a weekly activity for you, or? I've handed it off to the master for this step. He's helped a lot. I cut the main parts of it and welded it together, but as far as in the table I welded it together, but as far as figuring out some of this stuff, he's helped a bunch.
I don't know any better.
Hey guys, when I left you yesterday, we were working on the supports for the tabletop. Dad actually finished that up this morning while I was at work. So I'm gonna spin the camera around, show you what we've got. And then I'm actually gonna try and get paint on this today, and we'll get this video out tonight or tomorrow. I think it turned out pretty dang good. I'm sure there'll be some tweaks along the way. I even found some sheet metal to make the top for the tabletop. I didn't have a long enough piece, so I had to weld two pieces together, but it'll work. So yeah, let me spin the camera around and show you this, and then we'll get to work on painting it. So there it is. And if we hit our lever here, open our latch, and this thing's not on here tight yet, so if you see some sag, that's what it is. Let me see if I can hold this back far enough to But you lift this up, you got your two little legs that fold down. This is not even. Let me get it locked into place. We got a lock here, so when you swing it open, it'll stay put, won't go forward or back. And then you've got these little legs fold down, and you lift up. You lift up, fold it out, and into place. Same on this end, and voila! You got it's at a nice height, you know, about waist height. So, yeah, I think that's going to be great. Okay, guys. Got this pulled out here. I just left it mounted on the Samurai because I couldn't figure out a good way to, with all the table folding up and everything, it's complicated to paint. So, figured the best way is just leave it hanging on the Samurai. I'm just going to set you up on a time lapse. I've already got some primer on it. Let's get to spraying. Alright guys, we got her all painted up. We got a tire hung back on there. Paint's still a little wet. I actually need to reinforce my brackets for my bumper because I never designed it to have this tire carrier on here. So let me show you what we got. Flip your little latch here. That opens it up. When you get over here, it should automatically lock into place, so it won't go forward or back. Then you just lift this up, fold your legs down, and voila, you got a tabletop. The other part's drying, I'll rivet it on tomorrow. And then I got a little cook surface or whatever while we're out camping. So, Overland tire carrier, done.